pull the string, pull the string!
Scoodly, wow, wow, wow.
Hi, Area Backstage.
Hey, this is Paul Bostaff,
And Gary Holt.
and we're with Slayer.
How you doing?
What's going on, everybody?
Yeah. Bay Area in the house.
Everything's going really well. It's the fourth show now tonight.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's going great. The first show in Las Vegas really kicked ass, and we did 2 shows in Los Angeles, and both those went really well. Played 2 different sets both nights, so it was really special. It was really cool.
It's gonna be great. The set, it's a lot of fun, start to finish. And it's like a couple of different ones that I'd never played till Las Vegas. Paul probably played them back in the day, so I'm really happy with the set. It's super crushing. Learning songs. I was going down on a Tuesday to rehearse. On Sunday, Kerry calls me up and throws a new one at me. But I pulled it off, and it's actually one of my favorites to play live. And I won't say it because then I'm spilling the set list. So yep. I'll keep it a secret. I've always said it's something in the water. I don't know. Carcinogens. I really don't know. It's just Metallica. One of the founding fathers, but they started in LA. They moved up here because the audience was more receptive. Slayer from LA, Exodus and Testament, Forbidden and Violence and Death Angel, all Bay Area bands. Anthrax, Overkill, New York guys. So it's definitely a stronger California representation for sure. But the New York guys do it well too.
How did playing soccer growing up play into myself with music? I'd say, I've always been being an athlete. I think soccer gave me really good really great cardiovascular system, really high endurance, and also taught me how to deal with adverse situations like being on stage or like playing during the summertime when it's super hot. You just suck it up and you do it. But that being said, thrash metal, to a certain extent, if you look past the musician side of it, the musical side of it, which is the most important thing, there is a certain athletic aspect to it, and I think that being a drummer, I think that plays into that, into the athletic side of it. So that's, Gary played sports when he grew up as well, Yeah,
so I was never much of a soccer player. I played it in junior high, but I grew up in a baseball family, so it was Little League and all that stuff. In my case, it has nothing to do with guitar playing whatsoever. I think, athletics and drumming are far more like intertwined than, guitar playing. I'm the youngest of 6, and I have 4 older brothers. So I listened to like a lot of hard rock that was like, typically I should have been too young to have discovered, but my brothers listened to it and I wanted to be like them. And so I was listening to everything from like Nils Lofgren and Nazareth and all that stuff when I was really young, and Montrose and AC/DC and Frank Marino and Robin Trower and all these like awesome guitar players, and then got more into Judas Priest, and obviously before that Black Sabbath and stuff, and then the whole new wave of British heavy metal really like kicked things off into a whole nother gear. And hardcore punk, Discharge, UK Subs, Anti-Nowhere League, Sham 69, all that stuff had a huge influence as well.
Like Gary, I grew up in a big family, so I was had a lot of different musical influences. Thrash metal would be Iron Maiden, Judas Priest, especially the Killers album. But that and AC/DC, Iron Maiden, Killers, and most AC/DC albums, those really, believe it or not, had a heavy influence on me with music. And then after that, the thrash metal scene happened. I started hearing demos and albums from Exodus, Metallica. After that, I knew what I wanted to do. I mean, never really got into punk rock till after I got into thrash metal, and thrash metal is what got me into punk rock. So, that's where it came from. Suggestions for kids that are up and coming and practicing drums and want to kind of get some more endurance or performance and better performance out of their and strength out of their for lack of a better word, performances. Ankle weights, actually, Gene is the one that turned me onto that. Gene Hoagland turned me on to using ankle weights. I use them in conjunction with a metronome when I practice, and when you do that, it really gives you like dead nuts precision, when you're really on it. And I use weighted aluminum drumsticks to warm up and to practice with before I play, and when I practice, before I practice a band practice. So, and I don't get to rehearsal when the band has to practice. I like to get there early, and sometimes I stay late too. Don't just do what you have to do. Do more.
The best advice I can give any guitar player is learn to play like Ted Nugent and Angus Young before you try to learn to play like Yngwie. You have to learn the basics. Kids, they pick up a guitar and they want to like shred, these like diminished arpeggios before they can play a blues lick, and you have to learn the basics, because that's a building block of all rock and roll, and if you skip past that, you miss out on learning how to put feel into the technique later when you do develop speed. You haven't found a soul yet. I've been playing like stupid fast for a long time, so but it still requires warm up. The muscles in the arm, they don't want to like play like Hallowed Point the second you pick up a guitar. They don't want to play Strike of the Beast the second you pick up. You got to warm up and get the arms, like the juices flowing and stuff, but just got to work on the right hand. It's like that's where what it's all about, is the right hand.
Basically, after all these years, how to maintain it. You have to practice. For you to get to a certain point, for me to get to the point I'm at now, it took hours and hours and years and years and years of making mistakes, learning new techniques, watching other people play, talking to other people, and really woodshedding, which is just getting into a place and practicing by myself. And mostly, I always say this, you can practice and practice and practice all you want and become great, but if you don't apply it to anything, it just goes away. So to be in a band, like say for instance an Exodus or a Slayer, I've been able to apply the things I practice on a consistent basis night after night, which is playing live. And playing live is another level of intensity. You can practice all you want, but when you get out and play live in front of people, you find energy you never thought you had. All I want to do is put on my best performance every night, even if I stink. As long as I pulled my best performance off that night, then I did the best I could, and if people were entertained, I'm happy with that. And then it's up for people to decide after that.
You pretty much said exactly what I was going to say. It's like, all I'd ever want anybody to say is the dude gave 100% every night. Some nights 100% is a greater amount than others, but you never sold it out. You never just like, mailed in a show. You got to play every note like it's your last, because you never know when it is going to be your last note. I could step off this bus and get run over by a car, and that would make the prior night's Hollywood show my last show. So, I want to be proud of what I left behind, but at the same time, like Paul said, I'm thinking about tonight's show. So, right now, this tour runs till I get home December 1st, and I've been writing for the last several months. I go home tomorrow for one day and then fly to Seattle, and so when I resume this tour, I'm bringing my recording gear with me and continue to work in the hotel rooms, and we're tentatively slated to start recording the next Exodus February 1st, and it's crushing. It's like ridiculously fast and heavy, so And it's been a long time coming, you know. So they're hungry and they're tired of waiting. So it's gonna be a pleasant surprise. This is Gary Holt, and you are watching Bay Area Backstage.
We are in retreat. Come to show 'em where I am.
Destroy the humanoid. Intruder alert, intruder alert. Intruder mana escape.